It's time to look back and showcase some of the best mods released so far this year, and 2024 has already seen some amazing new Skyrim mods. So let's jump right in, starting with one of my favourite new armor packs called the Viking Armor Collection. This mod will add several Viking themed armor sets to your game, as well as some new Viking weaponry. All weapons and armor can be crafted and upgraded just like normal, so fit seamlessly into your game. I also think aesthetically, the Viking theme matches well with the Nordic art style of Skyrim, and not to mention, they all look fantastic. In particular, my favourite, the Bjorn armor outfit. Without a doubt, my most recommended armor mod so far this year. Up next are a series of ambient sound mods by Clofas. This author has utilized the sound record distributor to place new sounds in certain areas and locations found around Skyrim. For example, the Wildwood Echoes mod will add the sound of trees and wildlife to the forests around Skyrim. Or the Whales of the Coast mod will add the sound of distant whales to coastal regions. But it doesn't stop there. Other additions include distant dragon roars, harsh Nordic wind, or more subtle additions such as the ambient warfare mod that adds the sound of distant war drums and battle cries as the civil war of Skyrim rages on. In total, there are 10 different sounds, with I'm sure many more on the way. Overall, these mods really bring your game to life and increase the level of immersion when playing. You can also edit the mod files to make each sound more or less frequent as you see fit. A truly great selection of mods that I highly recommend. Moving on, we have 3 New World Edition mods, starting with the WiZkiD Hunter Camp Overhaul. This mod will completely overhaul all the hunter camps spotted around Skyrim's map, both in terms of visuals, by adding new objects and statues, or making each camp have visually distinctive tents from one another, and improving the hunter's AI so they don't just sit around all day. This really makes each hunter camp feel more unique, but also fleshes them out a bit into a location you would actually want to visit instead of just being a lonely tent and campfire. Then we have the newly released Rin's Lumber Mills mod that in a similar fashion will overhaul the 4 standalone lumber mills found in Skyrim. Again, in the original game, the lumber mills don't really have a lot going on, but with this overhaul, each location will feel a lot more important, with ships exporting goods to the cities and increased levels of detail. They are also very compatible. In fact, with my mod list, I didn't require the need to have any patches, making it a great and simple way to add some more life into Skyrim. And the last world space mod is called JK's Fort Dawnguard, which will overhaul both the exterior and interior of the famous Fort Dawnguard location. This overhaul is big and will transform the fort from being a little run down into a lot more grand, with additional towers and walkways creating a much more imposing and defensive location. On the inside, you will see more clutter and training facilities, making the area feel as if it's actually being lived in and accommodated by the Dawnguard. Regarding performance, because the fort is in its own little area, I didn't notice any real difference in frame rate, altogether making a far more suitable home for the Dawnguard faction. And now, probably the most ambitious mod so far, called Spell Hotbar, which, as suggested by the name, adds a hotbar to your screen that allows you to cast an assortment of spells, shouts or powers similar to MMO games. The maximum you can have is 12 spells per bar, but you can also have multiple hotbars depending on what you have equipped. For example, I've set it up so when equipped with melee weapons, the hotbar will be different compared to when I have magic equipped. This of course is all adjustable in an extensive MCM where you can edit the keybinds, sizing and number of slots of the hotbar. Binding spells is very easy too, just hover over the spell in your inventory and press your selected keybind. Gameplay wise, I found it actually works very well, especially when using melee weapons, effectively allowing you to cast multiple spells without having to change anything. And although it's built primarily for keyboard and mouse players, as a controller player myself, it worked perfectly fine. I could only really bind 3 or 4 spells at a time, but other than that it was great. All up, creating some engaging and expansive Skyrim combat. Up next is the mod called Face Sculptor Expanded. In vanilla Skyrim, the Face Sculptor kinda felt like an afterthought and didn't act like an actual NPC. Instead would just sit there waiting for you at all hours of the day. This mod changes that, transforming her into a real NPC that will move around and even use her abilities on other NPCs, creating a more immersive environment as if she is really a part of Skyrim. When you talk to her, you will also get 2 options, the normal face changing service or a more expensive alternative that will remove any bounties associated with your character, again adding another layer of immersion to this character and feature within Skyrim. Now let's take a look at several new visual mods, starting with the complete landscape overhaul called Tomato's Complex Landscapes. This all-in-one landscape overhaul comes with the 3D Parallax effect that requires either an EMB or the community shaders, and will transform all landscapes across Skyrim, ranging from the forest all the way to the snowy north. Some really beautiful textures here. A couple of my favourites include the Autumn Rift landscape and the new Dirt Cliff texture. It even comes with Northern Roads compatibility, providing a stone texture over the roads instead of the normal dirt pathways. Overall, it all looks great and is worth a try in my opinion. Next is a very small mod called High Quality Ivy Replacer. Now I have to say, this is a must-have visual mod. Without a doubt, a massive improvement over the original Ivy and one that looks absolutely stunning in game. Seriously, cannot recommend this mod enough. Then we have another complete overhaul, this time regarding food, with the mod called Skyrim's Food Expansion, which will enhance and expand upon the food models within Skyrim. These new models have been photo scanned so they look as real as possible, to the point where they actually look edible in real life. It also comes with patches for the most popular cooking and alchemy overhauls, so should be ready to go for even the largest of load orders. And the last visual mods are the Skyking signs and the unique signs mods. These 2 mods will transform each and every sign found throughout Skyrim with new meshes and textures, as well as providing unique signs to each shop, creating a more diverse world. Not much more I can say, other than these signs look stunning and will enhance your in-game experience. Moving on is a mod that actually came out a few years ago called Lightened Skyrim, but has now been updated with a base object swapper version. The basic premise of this mod is it removes elements from the game that you wouldn't really notice or were below ground so couldn't be seen anyway, providing a boost in performance and increasing your FPS. For me personally, I noticed a very slight change and increase in FPS in some places, which could have been due to this mod, but potentially not. However, saying that, I have heard good things from other people when using it, and since there isn't really any downside to using this mod, you may notice a much larger difference than me, and if you do, please let me know down in the comments, because I'm very interested to see how others get on. And lastly is an amazing mod that's been out for a few months called Skypatcher. What this mod does is it can modify game data and provide patches for your load order without the need for hundreds of separate individual patches, meaning mods that utilize Skypatcher are a lot more compatible and will apply to modded content without the need for a new patch. A few mods that have been reworked with Skypatcher include Mortal Enemies, which will stop enemies from tracking you with the perfect accuracy, Arrow and Bolt Tweaks, which will adjust how arrows and bolts behave depending on the material, and NPC Infinite Block Fix, which will prevent NPCs from continuously blocking in combat. Of course, these are just a few that I recommend, and with time I'm sure there will be even more, so it's best you keep an eye out because the Skypatcher is a game changer in more ways than one. Otherwise, that's it for this video on the hottest new Skyrim mods of 2024. Thank you for watching, I hope you enjoyed, and I will catch you again next time.